Hi, and welcome back. And in this video, we're going to be unpacking why some teens seem to rise to the occasion under stress and others seem to fold or collapse. Is it genetics, upbringing, parenting, or something they were trained to do? That's what we'll be unpacking and exploring in this video as we try to answer that question. Why do some teens seem to be more resilient under stress than others? In this video, we're going to need to be, of course, talking about mindset. That goes without saying, I think, at this point. Also, the emotional regulation that teens need to have, all of us need to have. Support systems, what's there for them. What about stress overload and how they handle stress? All of these type of things, that's what we got coming up in this video. In these videos, over and over, what would you expect from somebody who's the mindset mentor? Mindset matters. It's the driving force behind you, how you're going to perceive the world and then react to the things that happen to you. So, of course, your mindset's going to impact how you handle stress. It's those beliefs that you're holding on to that have so much influence. If you believe that challenges, that setbacks, that quote failures, unquote, aren't really failures. They're just learning opportunities. They're lessons. They're going to help you get better. They're going to drive you forward. That belief system causes you to handle a stressful situation much differently. There's those beliefs, that mindset that's going to shape your attitude and thus your behavior when it comes to situations that cause stress, right? Because you do run into situations that cause stress. Question about whether you get sucked into that stress cycle where you feel it, don't perform as well, get more stressed out, and kind of cycle downward. You replay it over and over in your mind, all those things that can escalate or get you stuck in the emotion of stress. Your mindset's going to be a huge factor in whether that happens to you or not. So another part of mindset is how you're going to go about managing your emotions, all right? And that's the strategies that you operate inside your brain. But research has shown, there's a 2017 study that showed that teens who use cognitive reappraisal or reframing, they're taking situations and they flip around the meaning that most people would take from it. So it goes from a negative meaning to a positive meaning. They find a silver lining in it. Or they also use cognitive problem solving. So it's asking better questions about, all right, what do I need to solve this problem? How do I go about solving this problem? Those process-oriented type of questions. Those students who do that are much more emotionally stable than those who don't. That is a crucial factor, that emotional management in being able to move forward when you're under stress, and managing those emotions help de-escalate the stress. Again, when you are stuck in the emotion of stress, you don't do as well. When you can begin to step back and think about the process of how you got into that in the first place, and you remove yourself from the emotion of it, you can begin to recover and get back to that solving the problem. Another area that's going to really help teenagers deal with stress and become more resilient is the relationships they have, the support systems, right? Particularly adults as they're developing, but peers later on as well. When you are kind of like-minded people around you, you're going to move along with them or down with them. If you're hanging around people who are really negative and kind of keep you down, you're going to adopt to that. So you want to surround yourself with people who are going to support your goals and your ambitions. Early on, especially, you want to have adults supporting you. A Harvard study showed that teens who had parents at young ages supporting them and building them up and all that were far more emotionally stable and successful than those who didn't have that. And that kind of goes without saying, right? When you get that support, that builds your confidence, builds your self-identity, uh, and it's those issues, those part of your mindset that are really going to drive you forward when times get tough. Let's talk for a moment now about confidence for teenagers. Confidence does come from competence. In other words, when you are good at something, you begin to feel more confident. No doubt about that. But your belief can also begin to influence that. Maybe you start out not doing so well in a particular thing, but if you believe you can get better at it and you really enjoy it, that belief can drive your desire to get better at that, where you begin to build the competency and you you become more resilient in the process, right? If you're struggling, but listen, I know I can get this. I know I can learn this. You keep working at it, and you want to get good at it because you like playing the guitar or whatever it might be. So you keep at it. Didn't come naturally for you, but you can build that, and that also builds that resiliency, right? So the mindset once again plays into that. Your confidence comes in that case from the belief that you can learn something, and then the competency keeps fueling that. You can be competent pretty initially. Like first thing, you begin to be really good at playing baseball, basketball, some sport, music. Maybe you got an ear for music, whatever it might be. There's some things that you are good at right off, so you tend to like those, and that can build up confidence. But it works both ways. It's important to recognize the power of your mindset in helping you build that competency that then fuels and cycles you upward and helps you become more resilient in that whole process. One of the movements that I began to see when I was in education, which really bothered me, was the idea that we need to remove stress from teenagers' lives. So I'm working in middle school, and there is a movement towards all the teachers have to communicate to make sure that we don't give more than one test in a day. It's too stressful for the kids. We can't give homework. They have too much on their plate. It's too stressful for the kids. You can't do this because it's too stressful for the kids. And it's very important to understand that you need to experience stress. Chronic, long-term, constantly under severe stress is not healthy in any stretch of the imagination. But neither is trying to remove all levels of stress, which you can't do, and ignore the importance of teaching teenagers how to deal with stress, how to maybe manage their time better, how to set priorities. Yes, as I said before, it's possible to put too much in our cup. That is possible, and that in itself can create some stress. So there is some idea of that we have to manage that. I don't discount that, but there's a slight and important distinction to be made between that and understanding the strategies involved and how that's happening for teenagers, even for adults, and trying to remove all stress from a child's life. It was the latter that I began to see in education, not the former, and that is a dangerous thing. We need to understand the importance of teaching students how to handle stress and not completely trying to remove them from that, because that's really impossible. We're setting them up for failure if we give the indication that it's possible to remove all stress from your life. As we wrap up this video on how to build resilience in your teenager, how to be able to overcome that stress, incredibly important topic, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel, check out some of the other videos. In particular, you might want to check out the video, What Can Stress Lead to in Teens? So check that video out today, and I hope to see you in another one.